All right, we've
You know,
been
I,
listening in live to a bipartisan push for more transparency from the government when it comes to UFOs. This is happening right now on Capitol Hill. We will continue to monitor that. But I'd like to welcome in now host of the Rebelliously Curious podcast and writer for space news outlet The Debrief, Chrissy Newton. Chrissy, thanks so much for some of your time here. I know you were listening in there. What is your reaction to this now renewed call for more government transparency?
I think it's wonderful. We're at a place right now within humanity where we need transparency in all different areas, not just UAP. People are calling for the Epstein files as well. But within the UFO community, this has been going on for more than 100 years, and people have been calling this, decade after decade, asking for more transparency. So we're here now, and I believe, we hopefully will be in an age of disclosure where we're able to know more, and the government will declassify more information about UFOs.
Yeah, so speaking of that, Chrissy, what are your thoughts on the UAP information and files that the government recently declassified?
Well, I think you can look at it in many different ways, but specifically, I would say just from a UAP perspective and lens, it's wonderful. Those are things that we're looking for, right? We want to be able to see all these files declassified. We have all different types of investigative journalists that have been releasing images and photos year after year, but now we have a lump sum. And so that's wonderful. The only challenge that we see here, though, is the Department of War. I reached out to Arrow about 2 weeks ago, and they came back to me and said that they would not be doing any analysis so far in any of those videos. And that's a real problem. That's a real issue. And the reason for that is that we don't know what we're looking at. We have Susie down the street who's watching this press conference, watching all the information come out, and she's going, what do I do? I don't understand what's going on. I don't know what I'm actually looking at. So, asking the Department of War and asking specifically the Arrow office to be able to analyze this. This is their job, and this is what Americans are paying their taxes for. And to be able to analyze this information that's coming out. And then now, when we're seeing all different congressmen and women coming forward and asking for more declassification and more files. But what the people want now is a conversation about non-human entities. And if the government knows more about that, we're done with files, we're done with images. We want more information and we want next steps.
So, Chrissy, on the other side of this, do you think there is some valid logic to not declassifying more of this information? Should some things maybe not be readily available to the public?
That's a great question. So the fabric of Americans and North Americans in general, are connected to the UAP topic. There are many conversations around declassifying, but there might be real secrets that are connected to UFO topics. We could look at where different satellites are. This is not just about UFOs. This is about the fabric of reality for Americans and North Americans and people around the world watching this. And so the government has a real control over what that fabric of reality looks like through all different lenses. And being able to slowly declassify things will help that and be able to create a paradigm shift, but we're not going to see that right away. It's going to take years, if not decades, I would say, but it's starting now. And that's the point. It has to start somewhere. And hopefully it starts today.
So I know you're familiar with UAP whistleblower David Grush. He's been a major voice pushing for more of this information to be released. I'd like to listen to some of what he said when he appeared exclusively on NewsNation back in 2023.
The UAP task force was refused access to a broad crash retrieval program.
When you say crash retrieval, what do you mean?
These are retrieving non-human origin technical vehicles, call it spacecraft if you will, non-human, exotic origin vehicles that have either landed or crashed.
We have spacecraft from another species.
We do, yeah.
So, Chrissy, what do you think about David Grush's claims?
Gosh, they're bold. If that is the truth, then, what we believe to be our reality is something quite different. We've been hearing on my end through all different types of scientists that have worked adjacent to government programs or been contractors that we're hearing that there's probably at least 20 different, craft objects around the world that they could have that the different governments around the world know of. And so that is part of this UAP Disclosure Act that today David Grush and the rest of congressmen and congresswomen will be speaking on. is talking about foreign countries coming together and declassifying, which a lot have, but coming together and working together as part of this Disclosure Act.
Chrissy Newton, really appreciate your time and reaction today on this. Thank you.